Will probably be good through March of next year. And then if you figure in the actual 20 or 30,000 that's going to be coming in 25, that'll get us through another 4 or 5 months. So at some point, mid to late 25, we're going to run out of money if we're using opioid funds to pay for it, if that makes sense.
Greg, is there any change to the tractor mow trim?
What did you hear?
I understood it as it was going to be fully funded by the opioid, so, I don't.
And there's nobody here to represent that?
Do you know, Gary, what?
Joel's you talking about the program for the school?
Uh-huh.
That I cannot tell you. Joel's been taking care of that with Ryan. That money's coming in for a while through opioid for 18 years, but I don't know what the commitment they made for that.
Sheila said that it was 20,000,
We
correct?
received 25,500 for this year. There could be, but that was for the restricted fund, so there would still be a little, but not enough to support a $79,918 position, which is what this proposal was at the last meeting.
And the unrestricted money was used to pay for the dog.
That's, nobody's here to
Yeah.
talk about
There'll
that.
be some money left in that fund in the unrestricted. It could possibly go that way, but Joel's taking care of that, and I don't want to speak for him.
That's-
Well, do we need to take this one off here and look at it again in April? And is there time to do that, Sheila?
And I think it's important.
Yeah, I was,
Very, I would back this 100%, but there needs to be somebody here to.
I don't know if he's already put the individual in that position for this school year or not. I mean, there is enough to fund it
for this
through
year.
August for the 25
Okay.
when you come into. So there is a couple other departments, if you read in your packet in his DARE proposal, there was a couple other departments that donated their opioid funds to him so that he had enough to do it for this calendar year. It's just you will not be bringing in that much money each year.
Yeah.
so basically, I mean, it is funded for this year up through August of next year, so we just need to.
He's probably funded through most of next year as well too, because he's getting started 4 months late and not knowing when the position's in, so it could carry through to December of 2025. But after that, you guys, and when you're doing your budgets in August of this year for 25, then you're gonna have to make sure that you're covered through the end of that year, so.
So is that something that we could address at budget hearing time, or do we want to?
Yeah, budget hearings. I think in light of what Amy was referring to is that, as far as purposes of moving forward, I don't think there's any need to delay anything right now. I think the main point is that at the moment, it's not really set up as an ongoing multi-year solution at the moment that's paid for. We're good for this year and good for a good chunk of 25, but I think, and maybe when the hearing's closed, I mean, I don't mind making a motion to the effect that I think it needs to be, in the employment agreement, it needs to be agreed to that absent of any new funding later on, eventually, the position is going to end. It expires. It's not something that's going to be indefinite, which is critical. And at some point, then maybe we would find funding. Maybe there's another source. A lot of things can change in a year. But I think at the moment, knowing what we know, we probably want to make sure we're very clear up front as to the limitation we're up against.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion that we approve the additional appropriation for the Stryker Power Load Cop Freeman Road Project, tractor with mow trim, K9. The DARE officer with it put into record that funding is only available till the end of, or till sometime in 25, and it'll be subject to availability of funds beyond that. And the interpreter, and then lastly, the supplies.
So motion has been made, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Amy. Are there any questions?
Yes, we're looking at everything here on this sheet, and
No, sir.
remove something?
The last two, the storage units and river boats, there's been some change as far as the code enforcement officer, so I'm leaving those two off. So it'll actually be
For a different discussion?
from
Yeah,
ARPA
we're gonna
fund.
pull those as commissioners for a
Okay.
different discussion.
Okay.
We'll bring those to your next meeting.
Okay.
You good?
I'm good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So motion has been made by Andy, seconded by Amy. If there are no more questions, all those in favor? Motion carried. Okay, so we're good with striking the last two.
And thus, old business, you're wanting to wait then for that?
We
Okay.
still want to pursue it just in a different avenue at a cheaper expense to the county.
All right.
Yes, I will. I hereby close the public hearing. All right, on to old business, now the code enforcement officer. Do you want to
I think he's wanting to
I
wait
think he
on
just
that.
wants to,
Yeah, we're just gonna,
just,
Just-
okay,
put it, table it until the next meeting, we'll present with a new plan.
okay. So on to new business. All right, USDA loans, Cynthia. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure. Turn on my, obviously turn on my microphone?
Yes.
Sure, okay.
Well, I'm Cynthia Ferguson, and I work for USDA Rural Development, and I'm here today to talk about a possible jail project, what we offer, and how the process goes in order to fulfill a loan and/or loan grant with us. So we do jail projects through our community facilities program. We do all of our loans for 40 years. That is the term of the loan. And that is, of course, based on the interest rate. And just for kicks right now, the interest rate for a community facilities loan is at 3.5%. That changes on the quarterlies. I don't know what it's going to be in April. So one of the things that we do, in order for towns and counties to be able to afford this type of a loan, we would take out a general obligation bond based on the loan amount. However, if there are funds available, there is a possibility to have grant involved. Now, Owen County is worth 55% of grant, but we never guarantee grant. We never know what our funding's going to be. As a matter of fact, we just got our funding approved on Friday for the rest of the year. So we never know what we're going to be given at any time, but that is always a possibility with our program. So by taking the general obligation bonds, of course, you go through and approve the lending, and we start off with getting an application run. We have, what we need is a preliminary architectural report and an environmental report and a financial feasibility study. Those are the three things that actually get the process rolling, and of course, public procurement is full on in play. Of course, because it's a government fund, we have to make it publicly procured.
and as far as the study, is there a specific source that needs to conduct that, or is it something you all can do?
We will have you pick your person to do the studies. Usually your architects and engineers for environmental have ideas and can give you some names. Unfortunately, we can't, being the government entity.
And I'm assuming, Cynthia, when we're done, you'll be able to get some resources, checklist information, things like that.
Absolutely.
Perhaps, and- Okay.
Absolutely. We have the process for having a financial feasibility study done. CPAs and accountants are much more comfortable doing it that way. It says how we want it to be done, how we look at it, so that you're not spending money on something that is not going to help your case and/or help the people who review it. Same with environmental. architects and engineers usually know who they want to work with, and that's fine, again, as long as it's publicly procured. And same with your architect. So once we have those three pieces to make sure that you can continue to support the project for the entire 40 years of the loan, we will begin the application process. It's a tedious process. I'm not going to say it's not. It's, we're the government, we like paper. We go through that process, then we have approvals. We have your preliminary architectural report approved, your environmental, and that goes into a stage of our state architect will look at it. He will come back with comments, if any, approve it, not approve it, tell your vendor what's wrong, what needs to be fixed, if anything. And when we go back and forth on those, then we again start going through the rest of the application. And hopefully our goal is to be with you and help you build a jail.
And so question being, what's that tedious timeline?
Usually we give 30 to 45 days from the time a PAR or an ER is put into the system, that we give our people enough time to review that. So there are times when things aren't happening because of those processes. But fortunately, right now, I can comfortably say we're at 45 days. But the whole process from beginning to end, that does take a while.
I think that's what you're
Yeah,
asking.
that's what.
So,
2 years?
oh gosh, no, I hope not. I mean, if we, of course, if there's no issues going on in the meantime, usually within 12 months, I feel comfortable. It's a 12-month process if things go well. But of course, if there's ever a hiccup or something's not right, there's additional time that's needed.
So 12 to 18 months would be a good.
Would be a good amount of time to be able to get it start to finish. So we do what we call design, bid, build. You have it designed, it gets bidded, and then we start building. Some builders and contractors want to do what's called a design build. That's a whole other game, but with doing a jail, you might have a contractor who wants to do his own people, his own subcontractors. It's not that we don't allow it, it's a much more complicated process. But it's not a no, we're never going to do it. So any questions? That's
And the good thing is, and you've answered the question, is that there have been other jail projects. that have been
Absolutely,
completed.
yes.
And will you be able to provide a list of some of those projects?
I absolutely can.
See how that went, that kind of thing.
So we have, with any of our loans, we have our own, I would be the case manager. We come out once a month during a pay meeting, and we're going to make sure that everything that's on a pay application from the contractor, he's done what he said he was going to do. This is the funds that he's said that he's used, and we do that. We keep a very good eye on things as the money comes and goes. I'm not going to pay him for windows if they're not in the building, because it's very easily they can come and take the windows and put them on another project. So we are very, very strict. But yes, I can get you a list of other jails that we've done, and that's not a problem.
And then what about things like collateral and moving on the finance end, thinking about, and I know you're talking about another government entity working with another government entity. So there's a certain base of, what's the word I'm looking for?
I call it skin in the game.
Yeah, skin in the game, but there's a certain, more solid foundation, I guess, financially perhaps.
Yes.
A private thing. But as far as collateral and things like that, how does that work?
So because we're taking bonds, the bonds are the collateral for this type of a loan. However, and during the underwriting process, and of course, it's all gonna be based on the income coming in, receipts, debits and credits. That's where we will determine whether or not, if you have money to contribute and how much you have to contribute. We do like money to be available, but it's not a make or break situation. In other words, if you want to do 100% loan, as long as you can justify why you need to do 100% loan, that will work. It just goes into the underwriting.
Got it. So, yeah, so there is some flexibility there, because we do have money saved that, we've been saving up for a couple of years now, having not needing to spend it. And so there'll probably be money available to either use for a combination of some upfront costs that we don't finance, or a down payment, an amount that we can go ahead and put towards it, and then lessen the amount of loan, or increase our capacity on a project. There's a lot of those factors that kind of fit together.
Yes.
So.
And that's
Okay.
absolutely right, what you're saying. And the good thing is your architectural fees, your environmental fees that come up, those are reimbursable with our loan funds. So yes, you might have money out in the beginning, but when we make you whole, you will be reimbursed that, if you want to finance that out for 40 years.
How much discussion has there been on the commissioner side of this project and this discussion? Is this brand new to you, or has there been a contact?
I spoke to Ryan about this particular
Okay.
program briefly with Polly. We really haven't had a chance to talk about it a lot.
Okay.
But yes, we have. Again, we're gonna have to come to a terms, as in Commissioner Council, figuring out what property we're using, what building facility are we gonna use. We've done all kinds of feasibility studies. I actually pulled out the one from our QAW the other day.
Okay.
And went through that. So there's a lot of work on our part before we get to this.
Just want to make sure you're aware of this.
Yes, absolutely.
And, it sounds like a good tool available for
Look
us.
at every option.
And the 40 years is helpful. There still is a prolonged cost from an interest standpoint. However, with the rate being lower, that could offset things and kind of give us, maximize what we can do from a project standpoint, Because any higher rate, and that's less of a project you're able to do. So, okay.
That is correct.
It sounds like to me, if we're hoping to get a 40 years out of jail, by the time we pay this one off, we'll be ready to start all over again.
Probably, yes.
I've heard that before. Anyone else have any questions?
I appreciate you coming.
Oh, my
And
pleasure.
I have talked to the Indiana Bond Bank, and they said they couldn't touch that. So theirs was, I think, they said possibly 25 years, but 20 was a little bit more realistic. And their rate was more like in the low 4s. So this is by far our, better option. So.
Yeah, that 20-year timeline really,
That
it hurts.
hurts.
That hurts a lot. So
And
That's
you're
tough.
not, obviously you can pay it off early, there's no penalties to do so. So if you were lucky enough to be able to put extra money to it, you're not gonna be penalized for that. But for the basis of doing principal and interest, we're gonna amortize it out for 40 years.
Polly, I have a question.
Yes.
So you're talking a fixed interest rate
Correct,
when it starts, finished, and that's what,
correct.
okay. Thank you.
You said that you guys would do the feasibility of the monies, right? You're gonna say, okay, 40 million is the best you can go, 30 million, 10 million. Did you say that you guys would figure that out by looking at it?
We will underwrite once you have that feasibility study done.
Okay, okay.
Yes, we're gonna review that from what the CPAs and accountants have done and make sure that you can afford it and sustain it for the entire 40 years. We're not gonna let you fail. We're not gonna set you up for failure.
And I think in light of, how we're kind of at the peak of interest rates and the fact that it's that rate
Right, I know.
now, even if it went to 4, it's still much better than I would have anticipated, so.
And let me add something, that at the time of closing, if the interest rate is less, we do allow you to write in that you prefer the lower rate. Who wouldn't? That's currently something that we do. So it's still, if it were to go down, you have that opportunity, but that's only during the time we're getting ready to close. I mean, if it goes down tomorrow, I can't say, oh yeah, you're gonna get that low rate. But you do have that opportunity.
So at what point do we lock in the rate in case it goes up?
We lock in the rate at application.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
It can't be no more than that, but it can be lower than that.
Yes. Yes. We'll lock it in at that time, and then if it is lower at the closing, we can adjust it. And that happens quite frequently, because there's the time of your construction and your building, and you're getting ready to close, and guess what? The rates have gone down, so.
Okay.
Very valuable information.
Well, I know you have my card, and I'm available for questions, and I can get you the feasibility study instructions, the environmentals, and the preliminary architectural report instructions for going ahead with that. And then I'll give you a list of jails that we've done, and then we can just talk after that then.
All right, that sounds, thank you so
Very
much.
nice.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
You got something to do.
I want to, Ryan was wanting to be here, but he is currently on vacation, so he sent a letter, he emailed me a letter that he would like to have been read, so I will do that at this time. He says, "Thank you for taking time to read this in my absence. As many of you know, our jail is in bad shape. The cost of maintaining the current jail is resulting in our taxpayers throwing their money away and in our county government wasting the money that was entrusted to us. I recently spoke with Jeff Groh, who is the jail inspector for IDOC. He stated that we have the worst jail in the state of Indiana. Even more concerning is our latest ADA compliance inspection that occurred approximately 3 weeks ago. We failed that inspection in every category. The condition in our jail is not acceptable. I hear on a regular basis that we shouldn't waste our money on inmates besides it's jail, right? However, we are required by law to provide adequate conditions for inmates and our staff. These failed inspections, inmate living conditions, and maintenance issues create a serious risk of our county being sued. On other counties in Indiana, we're facing the same concerns and have had to pay out millions of dollars through litigation, plus build a new jail under the direction of the court. The cost of a new jail is very expensive, but adding the cost of litigation on top of the building costs is more than our taxpayer can afford. We must keep the price tag of a new jail within our abilities, and adding $20 million to cover court costs like Vigo County had to do is not the answer to our problems. I want everyone to also keep in mind that if a court orders us to build a new jail, we will have to house our inmates in other facilities, which would cost us millions of dollars a year on top of the cost of the jail. If we act now, we reduce the cost of building by $2 million per year, building material inflation 6%, and for every year we wait, we increase the building costs by that same amount. Please understand that my vision as sheriff was never to build a new jail. However, as I have had time to see the problems and fully understand the position we are in, I now know it is necessary to act in order to save our county from the financial disaster that lurks around the corner. Thank you for your time and service, Ryan White." So, with that, what discussion, I mean, do we want further discussion, or?
I think that there needs to be time to regroup.
I think it's time for another special meeting
That would be very
coming up
applicable.
in the next few weeks if possible. That's my opinion, and we can discuss site, facility.
Do you want to go ahead and set that, Commissioner Burton? At least get something on our end on the calendar, and then maybe at the next commissioner meeting, bring it up and see if that
What
works.
does the last week of this month look like for everyone? And you'll have to see.
The week of the 25th,
Yeah.
I don't know of any other meetings. Are we still advertised for our part for Monday? Fourth Monday of the month? Did we ever have a generic advertisement for that? Okay.
So how soon do we have to do the typical,
You have to do an ad.
Okay,
During the
so-
meeting. It's a joint work session.
what's the soonest that we could get that done?
How
And
about we
get
do
it?
it Tuesday or Wednesday and stay away from Mondays if that's
So
possible?
the 26th, perhaps, of March?
You say the 26th?
26th?
27th or 26th, 26th of Tuesday.
Does that work from an advertising standpoint?
26th is a
If I
Tuesday.
get it to them by noon Friday, it'll be in
You looking
next
at 6
Wednesday's
o'clock?
paper.
I'm assuming 6 o'clock's gonna be
So,
best
yeah.
for
All
everyone.
right.
Mhm.
That paper?
Yes.
That counts as day one?
March 26th is on.
Yeah.
Well,
You just,
we only
it
need-
isn't it? Yeah, you only need 48 hours,
Well,
72.
Special meetings.
Then we're good. So does the 26th work for everybody? 6 o'clock here? Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Subject, of course, to, you'll bring it up, but,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, somebody needs to get with Ryan as well.
Mm-hmm.
I can reach out to him.
And when is your next commissioner meeting? Is that the 20th, Wednesday, the
I believe
20th?
so, yeah. It's the 20th.
So from an advertising standpoint, Sheila will have to go ahead and get it in, whether we can't wait until you have your commissioner meeting to decide. So we'll go ahead and set the date, I guess, and, okay. And we could always cancel it or change,
If the other two gentlemen can't be here.
Okay.
I'll speak for them.
Okay. Just want to make sure that's brought up. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay, moving on. Recorder's Office job description.
Hi, Loretta.
Hi.
So I needed to modify the part-time position job description, which you probably all have a copy of, modified version. Just basically, back when that was done, part-time was only a back indexer. I really need someone who can do everything in order to help out, so that's.
Yeah, and she worked very hard on this and pretty much everything but just short of what a chief deputy would do, essentially. It doesn't particularly change anything else, and we need a new job description to
That's your.
have on the record.
I'll move that we approve the recorder's office job description for part-time.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Andy, seconded by Anton. Are there any questions? All those in favor? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Public Defender's job descriptions.
So, 2 more job descriptions. This is something that we had not yet done. At the start of this current budget year, we had converted the position of Chief Public Defender and Chief Deputy Public Defender from a contract to a regular payroll, salary exempt type arrangement, but we never adopted job descriptions for those 2 positions. So those are in your packet. They've been reviewed by Jacob Fish, the Chief Public Defender, and his board, and they are ready to adopt.
I make a motion we adopt both job job descriptions.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Nick, seconded by Anton. Any questions? All those in favor? Motion carried. Okay. Soil and water position and request.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you so much for putting me on the agenda. I do have something to pass around for you. If I may. Is that the letter that you sent to Polly? They already have it. Oh, okay, you already have that.
We are on top of it.
I wanted to make sure. I want to thank the council for talking with me, and I want to thank my supervisor, Steve Fox, for coming and supporting me on this. I get a little bit passionate, so I do apologize. How do I turn this on?
Little button.
Oh my goodness, let there be light. First, I'd like to share all of the exciting new events happening at Owen County. I am pleased to share, and I guess you've already read this, am I correct? Do I need to go ahead and go? Okay, and that way the others can hear it too. I am pleased to share that I was chosen to assume the position of secretary for the Indiana Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts North-Southwest region, proudly representing Owen County on a greater statewide level.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm very excited. I can't even say more because I'm still speechless, and this happened in January. Also, I was selected for IDEA, that's Indiana District Employees Association, on their Career Development Program. This is quite an honor, as only 2 district staff employees are selected from each of the 8 regions of the state. I am required to attend 5 all-day in-person classes scheduled February. I just had that one. It was amazing. April, May, June, and September of this year. As an active IDEA member, I attend monthly region meetings, sharing with my counterparts ideas, plans, and forming partnerships. These meetings are invaluable. The February meeting that we just had is what inspired me and provided the information for the new Soil and Water Invasives Cleanup Program. The April meeting will be hosted by us at our office, and you are very welcome to attend. Owen County is now a member of FISH. This is People Helping Improve Soil Health. FISH is an agricultural group comprising of soil and water conservation districts, Purdue Extension staff, and supervisors dedicated to improving soil health in urban and rural areas. Steve has joined that also, so it's not just me, Steve's on board too. Primarily for backyard gardens and hobby farms under 5 acres, they assist with anything related to soil problems or erosion issues, including invasive management. They also meet monthly, usually a couple of hours before the IDEA region meeting, so those are on the same day. As I shared earlier, Soil and Water is excited to launch its invasive cleanup program. Funding for this project is going to come from our CWI monies, Clean Water Indiana monies, received from the state. This year, we're expecting to receive $20,000 to be applied towards this. For this program, we will be reviving SOWN, Sweet Owen Woodlands Network. Are you familiar with that? There you go. It was a very great program, and then when Andrea, who was a predecessor 4 or 5, directors ago, when she left, it kind of just died down a little bit, settled. But it's a partnership with SICM. Our mission is to preserve healthy woodland communities within Owen County with an emphasis on invasive control and management through education, physical and financial assistance, and referrals. As most of the individuals seeking assistance do not have the means or the ability to clear infested areas on their own, Soil and Water will be purchasing specialized tools and equipment for loan and offer free custom mixed herbicides and help with applications. We also offer free property surveys, soil testing, and hopefully water testing. Actually, March 19th, I have 2 properties I'm doing a property survey on. I am working with an invasive specialist from Morgan County, David Mao, M-O-W, but he pronounces it Mao. So if you'd like to tag along to see what I do, I'd be very happy for you to join me. Just contact me later, and we'll make arrangements the 19th, 11 o'clock, 2 properties. In addition, we are establishing a local conservation assistant grant to help ease the financial burden involved with invasive cleanup, consisting of a proposed 75-25 match, which does include in-kind contributions. So us 75, the homeowner 25. That is just the start of our invasive cleanup program.
With so much happening in Owen County, the USDA has decided to assign one dedicated NRCS district conservationist to Owen County. In the past, for the past few years actually, we have had to share a regional DC with Putnam, the office being in that county. Anyone comes to Owen County, they need assistance, I send them to Putnam. I have set up, so now we're getting this person, I have set up a designated space for the new DC in the Soil and Water Conservation Office on Pottersville Road. I have desks that I have rescued from the armory. They have a phone, they have a lamp that I paid a whole $1 for at the mission store. So they are set. As of right now, the person and their start date has not been determined yet. Hopefully we'll know by the end of the month. I know that the job posting has been taken down. So this is very, very exciting. The community is going to love this. Easy access, that's what we're all about. Least I forget, upcoming community events, Owen Soil and Water actively participates in. Arbor Day, the free native tree giveaway, which is 900 trees this year, Wildflower Weekend, the Owen County Fair, Farmers Market, Water Day, Owen County Annual Meeting, plus field days, workshops, cover crop transets, etc. With so many exciting things happening in soil and water, I'm excited. I absolutely love my job. I love working, brainstorming, and getting my hands dirty. I love serving my community, and there is so much more that I would love to do for Owen County. I do realize that I am just one person. I could use assistance, specifically an assistant, a part-time contract staff person, one skilled in general administration and conservation technology. So it does need to be someone who knows what they're doing. I humbly come before the council asking for funding assistance. I've attached a job description for your review. I don't know if you've received that yet or not, but I do have copies. I am hoping for an annual budget of $15,600 designated as contract staff. However, I would appreciate any amount given. I would like to assure the council that I am aggressively seeking other funding sources. And while I feel confident that some of these funds will be awarded to Owen, they are not immediate nor complete funding for my proposed staff person. Sources such as CWI Staffing Grant, the Owen County Community Foundation Community Investment Grant. I've been talking with Janet Rummel. I feel confident that that's something that we could take advantage of. Indiana Humanities Grant, this is exciting because they are more focused on preserving history. Guess what? One of the jobs that I want this person to handle is to preserve the history. Something that I discovered, I found in our attic and in boxes, archives going all the way back to 1946. Whoever attended, thank you, Amy, Polly, my annual meeting, you saw those historic photos I had up there. We need to preserve those, because among those archives were boxes of photos that had been damaged beyond repair. We had some mice, they turned them into nests. We need to stop it now, and it's going to take years upon years. We have photos, overhead photos of a landscape of what Owen County looked like once upon a time. And I guarantee it looks quite a bit different since 1946. Because of the strong history, I do feel confident that this humanity grant, which is only $3,000, it's money. I feel confident that we should be able to get that. To continue on that, the NACD, they do have a technical staff grant. When they say technical, this is not computer technology. This is field technician, doing a project survey of land. That's what they mean by technical assistance. So a staff who is knowledgeable and who can provide information to a landowner. And then the one that I'm most excited about is the SCSEP. This is a Senior Community Service Employment Program grant, or actually it's just a program. I talked to them, they're the ones who told me about this. The Owen County Civic Theater, the Tivoli Theater. Yeah, I'm calling into my acting days. When Misty Wyatt was in charge, she was able to fund a part-time person with this grant. It's also known as National ABLE. Goodwill, Indiana, Central Indiana, they also are a distributor of this grant. That's what I'm looking for. My focus is, I want to go from the senior pool. I want to hire a senior. There are so many seniors out there that need jobs, but they just can't get jobs. You reach a certain age and all of a sudden, you're not considered valuable. They are valuable. This is an important job. I need someone who they can bring in their history, their skills, their knowledge, and then their community connection. You come into the office, you see someone, oh my gosh, it's you, Tommy. Hey, and then you can communicate with them. I really do not want an intern. I do have a young intern from the high school in the Patriot Project. Interns, they come, they go, they're temporary. A retired senior person looking for part-time work, needing to make only X amount of dollars, because you know in this day and age, if they make too much, then they lose certain benefits. This is what I'm targeting. There's a lot of retired farmers and gardeners out there that could use a job, one that stimulates their minds and preserves their dignity, and I don't mean to knock other jobs, but this is one that they continue doing what they love to do.
Tammy?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned the grant, you mentioned the amount of money you would like. You mentioned a grant of $3,000.
Yes.
Then the last two grants, they didn't have a dollar amount assigned to them.
That's because I don't know what they are. I believe that my understanding with the grant from from the foundation, that would be $5,000. So right there, you're looking at $8,000. Now, I will share on the, I cannot give you a figure on the senior community grant, only because my understanding from my Work One Connection, who is still researching it, they fund minimum wage, part-time. I will share that this $15 an hour that I am proposing, 20 hours a week, that's what I'm proposing. It could just be 12 hours a week if you wanted to make it, anyone that can help. In this position, I've researched with my district counterparts and all. If you get on a job search, the starting rate is $25 an hour. So this is quite a bit a cutback. These are specialized skills I'm looking for. They're more than just minimum wage skills. So that's where I'm coming from now. But that being said, in the past, I was told this, I was recently told that in the past, they did minimum wage, but they may perhaps make an exception on this because it's a different type of job. That one, I don't know. I know the funding's there. I don't know how much funding I will get from that. I told you about the NACD technical grant and the CWI staffing grants. Those should be complete. My understanding is that that should be complete funding. However, those do not come open until May, both of them. My understanding from my contact with the state is that the CWI, it opens in May. They don't award it until September. The NACD, National Association Conservation District, they don't award that until November. I really could use someone now. Now, I do think this can be a temporary staffing request. You know, I heard you talking about that on something else earlier. You know, this is a brand new, my understanding is Soil and Water's never had an assistant before, so this is something new for them. Hopefully, I truly believe that we have the work and we need someone. Number one, I am struggling December, January, February, and March, all of a sudden, because I started a year ago, March 20th. Things are starting to get real now. You understand what I mean? My feet are stable. Things are happening, and it might be because I'm a very energetic person and I don't say no and I like getting involved in everything. I just see these wonderful, wonderful opportunities. Our annual meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, it was amazing. It was a huge success. The energy, it was just so amazing. I want to keep the memento growing. Going, enthusiasm, I don't want to lose that. And that's the reason why I think this would be helpful, because I will share. I've been out of the office quite a bit because I've been going to meetings, because I've been doing property surveys and things like that. we need someone in the office when I'm out there for when people walk up. I do have contact information up there. I do direct the phones to my personal cell phones. I'm doing work at home. If I could get someone, and again, I came up with the job description proposal because in my mind, talking with my fellow counterparts, that made sense. I'll tell you what, anything that you're willing to give me, I understand that I've come out of the blue on this. If you need time to reflect, I get it. Absolutely. I just, thank you so much.
I've got
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've got a few comments and
Yes, sir.
concerns. So, Steve, do you have anything, by the way, before?
I would just like to say that we have a lot of work to do. We're enthusiastic about it. Some of you know Tammy and probably understand that she has enthusiasm and energy. And we're anxious to do more. And if we have some more assistance, it will help us do more. So I'm here to support that cause.
I do think it will pay off in the long run.
We certainly appreciate you guys and all you do. My concerns are, normally, we have a receipt of approval for a grant, and then we look at either applying that money or saying, here's when it's coming in, and and with this, I'm concerned that there's nothing in hand or guaranteed at this point.
That's where we are.
Yeah, and so the second issue I've got is, we did cut significant amount of assistance and stuff in the courthouse. With that, we just approved a Veterans Department head salary at $14 an hour in a pretty key role.
Okay.
We would be hiring somebody at an assistant level at $15 an hour, which is $1 more than an appointed individual. And so, that means something to me personally.
Well, I will share, sir, it's not carved in stone. Like I said, this is something new that we don't have a precedent for. If you feel more comfortable and if you feel like it makes more sense, perhaps even be $10 an hour. I don't know.
Sure.
And I can't compare it with the veterans because, true story, I know nothing about it.
Sure,
I don't
sure.
know what they do or anything. I'm just sharing from my point. I do know that depending on the skill level too. And the pool that I'm targeting, they probably would not have the skills of, say, someone fresh out of Purdue. Because a technical person, with computers, they're going to bring in a high rate. So yes, I am
Even
open.
$15 an hour, when you said skilled,
Uh-huh.
that's going to be a hard find. I mean, $15 an hour for somebody with any kind of experience in your field, I think that's going to be.
Not if they're older. Senior.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
no, and see,
No,
so that's
because-
where I'm coming from, yeah. That's why I'm targeting
Yeah.
the elderly, because they do need a job, and they are limited on how much they
Exactly.
can
In that
make.
context,
that
My
makes
understanding
Yeah.
is they can only make up to $20,000 a year. That's my understanding. I'm not in that pool yet, even though I am 61 years old. So, and that's why I shared that if you think something even less than that and even cut hours, I can make it work.
Yeah.
I can make it.
I know.
Like
and
3 days a week constantly, rather
Yeah, I can
than
definitely,
5.
yeah, I could do 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, just to try it, test the waters. And then if we prove ourselves, if you start seeing income coming back into Owen County, then we can come back and redress the communication, around budget time. But just to get something to started, I definitely don't have a problem with 3 days a week. I don't have a problem with a lower salary. Again, because of the pool that I'm looking at, and that's one of the reasons why I was doing that too, someone that's affordable, a pool that's dependable. Where I'm coming from, some of these young'uns, they're not, they have a different.
I appreciate
And
your.
then they'll be gone when they get a better job offer.
Yeah, exactly.
also.
Yes,
So
sir.
they're not gonna be-
I appreciate your enthusiasm and certainly appreciate the mission of the organization. My caveat is I'd rather see the the things in hand,
I understand that,
and
sir.
I'm not saying that's a flat no for me. I just, it's very hard.
I understand.
Because if I turned to Sheila and I said, do you need extra help right now? Could you use extra help? What would you say?
2.
So therefore, you know,
Okay,
it would be, she would be coming in kind of the same way you are, because there's no receipt of a grant at this time. Now, at the point we did have that, maybe we could, you know, add to it a little bit or something, you know, to make something work.
May I ask a couple of questions
Yeah,
real quick?
I'm done.
First to Sheila. Are you familiar, my understanding when I talked with my representative from Ward 1, that government agencies, in particular courthouse staff, have taken advantage of that senior community service employment program. Are you familiar whether we have done that here or not? I know for a fact that the Tivoli has. I know that the funds are there.
Yeah.
I have to apply for them.
It's been, as Anton just said, it's been years, but not
Okay.
anything that I can recall, other than I know that it's been in the past. The problem is, just as with any of the departments, not just mine,
Okay.
the specifics are technical of the positions, and the time you train somebody,
Right.
and the time that you spend with them, sometimes it just seems it's just easier to do it myself and move on kind of thing.
Okay.
The extra hand just answering the phones once in a while is definitely a plus.
Okay. Okay.
And
My
there
next-
are other grant options out there.
Oh,
There's
yes.
other smaller local communities. You have your REMC grant board, you have Duke, I mean, there's some other local one-time things that are out there that could help contribute toward the funds if a position was approved, that are options to look at also.
My next question, Andy, is, sir, my understanding is that the humanities grant and the foundation grant, those are awarded on a monthly basis. Okay? I can apply for them. If I come back, and right now, it looks like that's only that would be a total of 8,000. Is that something that would make you happy?
Yes.
Okay, because I jumped on this so quickly, I didn't have time to apply. What I would like to do is get those grants, because I will.
Yeah, we want to say yes.
No, and I understand that, I see exactly where it comes. I am very excited, because we have we've generated conversation. How amazing is this? It sounds,
And I have a question also.
Yes.
So the Community Foundation grant could be available soon.
very
Of all of these other grants, I know only one was like possibly September. What were the dates that, like the CWI staffing grant? Do you know if would that be available?
CWI staffing would be in September.
Okay. And
My
then-
understanding that is a 3-year, by the way, I needed, that's a 3-year award.
Okay, and then the humanities grant, are they all,
Humanities grant would be pretty much immediate also. They award that on a monthly basis,
Okay,
just
so
like the
that would be
foundation. And the humanities one is the one that's 3,000.
3,000?
I feel
And
very
then-
confident that that will happen.
And then the 5,000 was the,
Foundation.
right, and you feel pretty confident in?
Both of these, without having it,
Okay,
I will go as high as 99% confident.
so that's,
Until I have it, I won't go 100%.
that's 16,000.
Yeah, the NA, well, no, 5,000 for
Five for
foundation, 3,000 for humanities.
Mhm.
Now, there are other grant programs that we can look at. Now, the NACD, that's the one that's just like the CWI. It's going to be November. So
Right.
CWI is September. I also believe that that is a 3-year grant also, okay? But those are the two, so I'm looking at something preferably more immediate, but if I can get these 2 grants by the end, the 2 that we're talking about, I expect to total 8,000 by the end of March.
Right.
So
You know-
$8,000
Yeah.
and $15 an hour is 10
No, I know, that's not gonna,
And-
that's not gonna cover what I need, I understand that.
Right, but at least 10 hours a week if you could go part-time, if you could lessen it to 14 an hour.
Well, it's a start.
And especially the days that you are going to be gone, because you're gonna be gone 5 days a week
Yes.
from May, June.
Well, no, I'm not gonna be good, but it would be
It's not
nice.
5 days for each one,
Oh, one day, yes, that's correct.
5 days a week, 5 days in April, 5 in May.
No, correction, on that training,
Uh-huh.
that's one day a month.
Oh, okay.
That
Oh,
was
okay.
misrepresented,
Okay,
you know what I mean.
okay.
And I will share also on this position, in the job description, I know that I prefer 10 to 2. I am proposing to the person being hired in that these would be flexible hours. You know, I want to make it easy for them. I know how it is when you're a senior and you have responsibilities. And there may be some times when I may need them to work on a weekend. You know, if I do the farmer's market, if I want them to assist me on the farmer's market. We do presentations. I have a toy that demonstrates the watershed. This toy is over $1,000. I need someone who knows what they're doing to operate it. I don't want it just sitting out and having kids grabbing at it. And so that would be an example of perhaps hours. So it's not, when I say 3 days a week, that's just for us figuring financially what the cost would be. You know, in a perfect world, that's what it would be.
One thing to also think about is we're using the terminology contract, and I'm also hearing hourly rate and stuff. If you're wanting to avoid having to have an actual job description that we would have to approve and an hourly rate where we're going through payroll and we're taking, then contract's the way to go.
Right.
But it would typically be more maybe job or task oriented and maybe specific milestones, things that are accomplished, things that need to be done. And that might be a weekly schedule thing, that might be a monthly thing. But we wouldn't necessarily need a job description at the end of the day for a contract arrangement, as long as it's included in your contract or there's some expectations there as to what kind of work they're going to be expected to do.
I do apologize.
Yes,
for
just,
making it
semantics, technical. And there wouldn't particularly necessarily be a rate. I mean, it'd be a kind of a flat amount, paid weekly, bi-weekly, or whatever the arrangement is.
That is what I'm proposing. I
Yeah.
just want to give you an idea of where I came up with the figures. My thought is that this would be from the budget line item, contract staff.
Yep.
And that's the reason why I use that. 1099, absolutely no benefits.
Right, no,
Just to give you an idea.
no FICA, no perf, nothing like that. So
And
that would-
and some of the grants that you mentioned, they're flexible with that, you think? Or like in the case where there's an hourly rate for like the senior
Oh, no, this is
grant?
just, these are lump sums. Now,
Okay.
this is a grant, and that's not a grant. That's actually from, well, it's Work One. but
They pay
Indiana
for it
Employment.
themselves.
So this would actually, now, this one, I will share. On that one, we would have, I suspect that we would have to do benefits.
Okay.
I really don't want to do that. I want this to be strictly contract labor. I handle the 1090, well, in this case, if it's a budget item, you would handle the 1099.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's 100% what I'm trying to do.
Good.
And if I can make it as simple as possible with no headaches, that's what I want. So,
I think we're moving in a good direction. If you
Okay, sir.
can let us know something at the end of this month or at our next meeting,
when
Yeah,
is
we
your-
could
new.
table
when's your
until
next
next
meeting?
meeting, and then you could come back with
Okay,
that.
I apologize.
second Monday in April.
Are we the
Second.
day after?
Oh, wait.
Eclipse Day is
Oh,
the 8th.
yeah, so,
Well, I don't know if we'll all be alive after that.
The sheriff has us prepared, I remember.
The other thing, which I suspect you may very well just jump on, is it'd be great to have some kind of a chart or something that kind of puts this, you did list the type of grants, but I'm wondering if there might be some value in, especially if there's a time portion to it, like when something may become available versus, I'm seeing color, I'm seeing different levels.
What would
You could probably work your magic. Yeah, you could work your magic on
I have
that.
a marketing background, so
But that
I
might
would
be
love to
helpful.
do-
Yeah.
I will definitely have
Maybe
that.
put some dollars to it based on our conversation here, just
Maybe some
something
emojis on it.
visual, yeah.
So when did we decide to have our,
You originally had talked about April the 9th, and then you said you would decide.
so we need to decide
So,
that.
I have it in my,
I'd just like to say thank you for what you've done. I'm serious, I mean, just that you're representing Owen County on a state level is impressive. Now that you've gotten all these ideas on what to come back with, seriously, it's amazing. And I am very grateful for the work that you're doing. Thank you very much.
I mean,
It's impressive.
it's gonna be exciting. We're gonna make it work.
Yeah, no one's ever gonna accuse Tammy of not having her heart
I mean,
heart in it. so.
She's representing us in Washington DC.
So do we have a date?
Do we want to do the 9th? Or is that, everybody's going to be leaving?
Traditionally, when the courthouse is closed, we have our meeting the next night.
Okay,
And so
so the 9th
Tuesday
would
probably is what it should be, right?
Is that the 4th then?
Would be the 9th,
No,
The
9th.
9th.
April the 9th,
Yeah.
Tuesday.
So 9 to 6,
sounds
And can I be put on the agenda, please? Okay. Yeah, I'll have good news and charts
Okay.
and color.
That's great.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
We have faith in you, Tammy.
Steve, thank you.
All right. Okay, additional appropriation requests. You want to expand on that,
So
Sheila?
these are not in our packet, correct?
yes.
These are new?
They all have them, those are yours.
Oh, great.
So the original one that went out, we did add, the sheriff had 2 others that he had turned in. We do need to discuss the sheriff's budget a little bit. So I don't know if you want to do the others and then talk.
Well, I kind of feel like if it's
Okay.
related
So-
to this,
The sheriff's budget, you guys give a full budget for 2024 for $3,462,776. That is to the penny of what he is bringing in. Monthly amounts will total that. So the only extra funds that he has to work with this year is the $588,000 that rolled over. So each time you give an additional appropriation, it's going to lessen that amount. Does he have the $30,000 for tonight's request? Yes. You just want to be careful because if there's any emergencies between now and the end of the year, you're going to have to draw from that $500,000. But there is funding for this $30,000. There is also, we've learned a couple of, we're not even sure if this total amount is the
Yeah.
sheriff's department.
Yeah.
It could be dispatched.
Suzanne is
so-
recalling that this same company.
I send an email each month to Central Square for the 911 system. So I don't, that's what-
Yeah, and so my concern is that I've never heard of not having $30,000 accounted for a contract is odd. I just, that's what kind of raises my flag, that, you know, we didn't talk about it during budget hearings. If it's been something we've had for a couple of years, we would have already seen it. You know, why is it not in there? There's a lot of questions that I have about it before I'd want to pay it or do something about it now. And if it is 911 related, maybe the reason why he is seeing it right now is maybe originally 911 is what was seeing it, and it's been paid through 911, which we've already budgeted for. So I would rather us postpone action on this until we figure out more information about it.
so with us being right at the budget cap, is it all programmed costs, or is there anything out there that you're seeing expenses, overages, I guess?
No, because other than this that he's turned in, everything
Everything.
else.
We're on
is
target.
pretty much
Okay.
Yeah, and his cash balance is it looks like the end of the last month is 671. So it's had a little bit of a,
He just got another 288,000 and some dollars. And
There you
again,
go.
that's the amount that he gets in each month. It pays
Yeah.
for the budget. It's just whatever goes
Just,
above in
okay.
additional appropriations throughout the year is what's needed.
So Sheila, you had mentioned possibly us approving that amount, but keeping it open-ended on who would actually be paid, out of what budget?
We
would
can
be paid.
advertise it because you have to advertise for the public hearing for it, so you could do that specific amount. If we find out that it is related to the 911 budget, then I'm assuming it would already be in the 1235 or 1222 fund, and we can look into it. But at least get it advertised for the public hearing. If you decide not to, or it's not needed, or to pay it from somewhere else, you can make that decision at your April 9th
Public
meeting.
hearing.
so we should do an advertisement from PSAP and 1170, just to be safe.
Choose one of them.
And then we figure out which one.
Which one?
If it's 911, and we've already been paying the expense in years prior, then
And it's
we may
budgeted
not have to
in
do
the-
that at all. But, and there's no way to look it up tonight, Sheila, as far as vendor, like how much we
No.
paid before, okay. So, okay. And then the firearms, where's that form at? Is there another
It
sheet?
was with it, yes. He has a balance of $106,000 $103,000 in his firearms. He was asking for three different amounts. It was $12,000, $2,000, and $6,000 out of the firearms. It just was not budgeted during your regular
So
budget
20,000
hearings this past
total?
year. Yes.
All right, so,
No, I thought we budgeted 25,000, or did we leave it at zero?
We left it at zero.
K-9 was 25, okay, okay, got it. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion then that we proceed with advertisement of the appropriation requests as they're presented, plus, which PSAP, which fund?
It'd be the 1235 fund.
1235, adding, doing another $30,000 appropriation just for advertisement purposes out of Fund 1235.
I'll second.
Motion made by Anton, seconded by Andy. Does anybody have any?
Say that again, which funds that comes from?
So we're gonna advertise on everything that's been presented, so firearms, we're gonna go for that. The 30,000 that's on the sheet you have for 1170, but we're gonna add a $30,000 advertisement
Okay.
out of
But we would
1235.
only be taking out of one.
We're only
When
gonna-
we decide which one.
Instead of
that-
taking out of 1156, the firearms?
That's separate. Firearms is separate. It's the contract for the sheriff's department
Oh, this one.
that's kind of in question, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
All right, I
Do
got
you
it.
understand now?
You lost me there for a second. Wait a second.
All right, all those in favor?
Who seconded that?
I did.
Andy.
Okay.
All those in favor? Motion carried. Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and move that we adopt the salary ordinance confirmation summaries for the president to sign.
I'll second.
Motion made by Anton, seconded by Andy. Any questions? All those in favor? Motion carried.
So we don't have one of these for the firearms.
All right, elected officials and department head comments. Baron?
Okay. I gave everybody a letter on the people that I talked to in the northern part of the county about 156, ordinance 156. And so what we're really looking for is to have that ordinance, I don't know what you can or can't do about it, but at least be cognizant of the fact that when we have displaced families that are just renters and leasers, that out of that so-called building fund, thing, you could go ahead and have money come out of that to help pay for their temporary housing and stuff for at least 30 days. until you try to find homes for all these people. Because there's a lot of people up there that just rent and lease, and when these property owners out of state refuse to pay, then they're out. And so I'll have, the township trustee, I'll have a bunch of people that all of a sudden are gonna want money for temporary housing, and my budget, I can't stand that much, but not for that many people. So, I just wanted the council to be aware that we did come up with a remedy that we thought would be able to adjust for the impact of ordinance 156.
I think they're looking into
You guys have any questions for Aaron?
Take it under advisement.
Gary?
Happy to announce that this afternoon, Commissioners appointed a new 911 coordinator.
Okay.
She is extremely qualified, probably way overqualified, but we're very happy to have her here in Owen County. She's from California. I moved here in 2018, was the EMA coordinator for Indiana University for 4 years.
Oh.
She was a firefighter in San Bernardino County, also a dispatcher for a county with 20,000 square miles. The qualifications go on and on and on. She's currently a instructor at Ivy Tech. She moved here because her son moved here. She's a single mom, so she followed him out here in 2018. He now lives in Owen County, and she wants to reside here. Presently lives in Monroe County, but has intentions to move here. She will be starting on the 18th. As far as Owen County payroll, we give her some flexibility to wrap up some loose ends at her other job this first week. Officially, probably the 26th, I think, is full-time. She will be taking over as of Monday.
Good news. Good news.
Are you able to announce the name now, or are you waiting for?
Sherry Anderson is her name.
Okay.
Yeah, she filled out her paperwork, if everything goes through, and she went down and visited Sheila's office today and took care of those things. And, expect no issues there, so.
Good work on that.
Outstanding candidate, outstanding. I want to thank you folks for getting the salary up before we can draw in candidates. That's what it's going to take for us to continue to grow in this county and have those type of people. So hopefully we can get her to stay here for a long time. Next is Barron mentioned about the ordinance that we put together for uninhabitable housing and properties. As most of you are probably aware, last week we had an unsafe situation out on Freeman Road, a death tree, and that's what I'll call it. It was called in by some citizens, brought to our attention through EMA. I went out there myself with Greg, and we took this tree down at the county's expense at this time. We will be moving forward with that, and this is one of the reasons that we need to look at the code enforcement issue. Had a lot of complaints about that, but now we're in a situation with this ordinance that we can apply that to property tax if we don't collect it. So those are the avenues that we're looking for. We're not looking to run anybody out of their home, but we're also looking for unsafe situations for families, kids, so on and so forth. Like I said, it's whether it's trash, if it's septic, those type of things. This particular issue was very, very dangerous. So, going back to the building department real quick, changing that avenue, we definitely need to look at it. Another thing too, with her department, as I see we've got the recorder's job on to bring some part-time help in. A lot of that stuff comes through the building department with titles and deeds and those type of things. If you paid attention to the building department when you come in the courthouse, there's a standing line down there. So that office is gonna need some help as well. But the good part about that is if people's down there standing, that means the county's growing. Somebody's buying something, somebody's building
Things are
something.
happening.
And last year, we finished up with record permits, record money, over 22, beat it again in 23, and we're on pace right now, and I know it's very early, to do it again in 24. That's a good thing for Owen County.
Thank you for the updates there.
Okay,
Assessor, I think.
yes, Dusty.
All right. I'll make it quick. I'm here for the PETA Board. We're gonna keep the same people we had last year. I just need a couple appointments. Suzanne and Matt Lance is who I
I'll
need.
move that we approve those two individuals to be on the Peter Bowl board.
And I'll second that.
Motion made by Andy, seconded by Anton. Any questions? All those in, oh, okay.
Your meeting.
Yes.
Don't have a conflict with Suzanne's job.
No.
All those in favor? Motion carried.
One more thing, I gotta say it, and then I leave you alone. We talked about maternity leave,
Sometime.
and I have the young office,
Yeah,
so
yeah, are you-
I'm gonna bring it to your attention. We need to look at that again. Just the state of Indiana, their employees have maternity leave. It's a retention thing, everybody, it is. I've got great staff. If one of them wants to have a child and take some time off, they'll be more likely to come back, which is what we want, if they're paid a little bit on that leave. If it's no pay, no nothing, I'm out, that's how it works. Next, and then we've already talked about, well, it'd just be easier for me to do it myself. That's what she said earlier. Because we spend all this time, that's just another thing I think needs to be brought to everybody's attention. That's all I wanted. Have a great day.
So I can touch on that real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in December, we did the other
Right,
two, but
and
not
that's
the
a
third.
policy that the commissioners can put a time
Yeah.
frame on, and you have to attach a financial, how much you want to pay. We discussed that, good point, Dusty, it needs to be put back on the agenda, and Sheila, if you'll make note of that. I think 6 weeks is a fair amount of time. Personally, I think we need to get that approved, get it in our policies, and we'll leave it up to the council to determine, if that wants to be 6 weeks paid, 3 weeks paid, that would be entirely up to you. But we'll put a number.
And that would be for both father and mother?
Has to be, yeah. So I'll go to work on that with the attorney to get that drawn up in the policy. We'll get it to the table and then bring it to you. Hopefully, we might be able to get that done by as early as next meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
Great.
Definitely need that.
Great.
Greg?
Good evening, council. This is real short. I contacted the commissioners in regard to a bridge inspection. We have 2 open truss bridges left in the county. One of them was on the National Historic List. That is the bridge on Tower Road. It's fracture critical. Don't get too panicked with that. I think we've got a fix. I think our department can buy us 2 years. But at that point, council, that bridge is on the National Historic List. I can't tear it down. It's got to be put back the way it is. And it's going to be extremely expensive, so we need to start figuring that out now when that happens. Again, I believe we've got ourselves 2 years, but after that, it's either going to be required to be closed, or it's going to have to go back the way it is. We just recently, this week, closed the bridge on Johnstown Road down in Jefferson Township. It had been on the National Historic List, but in 1978, the county did some kind of repair which took it off of it. I was notified 2 years ago, so we were able to close that bridge. And it has been permanently closed now.
So could that be for the Tower Road Bridge, could that be maybe looking ahead like a federal match type bridge type project? Anticipating that it would cost more anyway?
I do believe that that's going to be the only way that bridge
Okay.
will be put back. So we need to start looking at that now because a federally funded project, it's going to
Right.
take us 2 years to get that up and running.
That's why when you said 2 years, I'm thinking, well, now's the time to start thinking, get ahead of it a little bit and make sure the match is secured or earmarked in the fund and, over a couple of years, time's on our side at the moment, but
Yes.
not not when it happens.
Our biggest problem with that bridge is we continue to downgrade the load rating. It's a pretty high agricultural area up there, so we're really limited on which way to get in and out of there. And then when we do that, we're jeopardizing other roads that we've community crossed and things like that. So tough situation,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to deal with it.
It is a neat bridge.
Yeah,
It is.
it is the
Yeah.
only bridge Greg informs me that's still,
Yep.
the one that we have left that's on the historical list, so.
So there's no way to change that bridge? We can't run a fire truck across it?
No.
It's a long way around and the fire's on the other side of the bridge.
Yeah.
And I think it's a 10-ton limit right now, isn't it, Greg?
It is.
Yeah.
All right, any other elected official or department heads? If not, we'll go on to public comment. Jeff?
Jeff Marks, quick, this isn't a comment, question. Earlier when you were talking about the sheriff's budget, and here I see this PSAP. Is there a two-sentence response? Is the sheriff's budget all funded out of the recent lit local income tax? No, so that
Not completely.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Thank you.
To be specific, there's $150,000 in maintenance in the county general fund, in the 1000-005 fund.
Well, and there is, I mean, it's $700,000 and sitting in there for the sheriff out of the general fund, so.
Norm?
So, I don't know if this is a question for you or for Gary, but the money we've already spent on the studies for the jail, I've seen a blueprint or a layout of the thing. We've talked about different properties and how they're not gonna work or will work. Are we gonna lose all that money we've spent to turn around and do these studies and grants again for the USDA loan? Or are those able to be used? Does anybody know?
I went outside and spoke to the feasibility studies that we have. We've got two presently. We've got one from Elvas, we have one from Arcuity, they're both government are part of that. That will be fine. What we will have to do, in speaking to her outside, we can discuss this in our joint meeting, we'll have to do an environmental study wherever we're gonna pick a piece of property. That will have to happen, as well as the financials will have to be presented before we can continue with the application. So I wanted to clarify that with her out there. So we've got some steps to move forward with before we can go through that process. So.
Yeah, so there's the broader range, feasibility of a jail and growth and that part. But then there's the property-specific stuff, the environmental part, and, that kind of thing. And the financial will depend on the project,
Right.
so.
So my concern was we didn't waste that money and turn around and spend it again for what we've already worked on.
We've been promised by both of these companies, we spent $250,000 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Time goes by so fast, I've lost track, but we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a shelf life question, essentially,
Right.
How good is it and how long do we have, and, okay.
Yeah.
Any other public?
I will share that the AIC has their district meeting coming up at Greencastle. It'll be next week. It's on the 19th at 5:30. If you would like to go ahead and get registered and go to that. Let Sheila know. I'm going at the moment, but being as close as that is, it might be a great opportunity to show up and participate.
Okay. Sheila, do you have anything?
Just reminding the departments, keep an eye on their budgets and those that are grants to make sure that they're following along. We're down to the last 3 months in the highway of really watching what is spent, and this year proved how important the June 30th deadline is. I know Greg's doing lots of projects, but some of them aren't gonna count against what his balances are gonna be, but if he hadn't watched them so close last year, you guys have been in trouble in budget hearings, so just keep that in mind. That's all.
Council, Any comments?
I will mention ARPA at the last meeting. You mentioned that there was about $380,000 left, and kind of think about remaining project items.
The commissioners felt that it was.
Yes, and that's
opportunity for the
fantastic.
Council to
And it,
voice their opinion with that.
and it'll probably end up being a kind of a broader thing anyway, because one thing that had been mentioned to several of us in the past and that you're aware of is the radio frequency project. So I think we want to be mindful of having some of funds available for an eventual
One
thing.
other thing that's came
Yeah.
to my attention, and I
Yes.
spoke to Ryan, the computers in the cars, the squad cars, it's
Okay.
time for those to be updated, which is not part of our IT budget. Panasonic has out a tablet now, and he has sent me a proposal of $55,000 for
Okay.
that project for all the cars.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, that
Yeah.
would be, again, not telling you how to spend that money, it's yours to spend, but there would be an opportunity, because I don't know where else it would come.
Right. No, I agree, and it's going to be an R thing no matter what. I mean, that's the way that money is for, so any suggestions are good. Another thought just in the back of my mind was the raising of the road at Gosport. I know there's been a lot of people that have asked over the years, and that also would need to be a federal project. But as far as, engineering study and initial review and, a match, the ARP could be available for something like that too. Just throwing that out there. So keep thinking of things. What is the deadline again on?
They want us to have the program, or the programs done by this year.
Okay.
When I sat with the State Board of Accounts, and Sheila was in here, and the federal was in here, that was their suggestion. We have till 2026 to close it out.
26 to spend it essentially.
It has to be spent, but they want those things
But
proposed.
a commitment,
Exactly.
24.
And I
end of
think that
20.
they were doing that for audit purposes.
Yeah.
She made it pretty clear she'd like to see all that stuff finished by 2024.
Gosh, why did that come so fast? I remember when we were talking, and we were like, 3-4
Right.
years from now, and we've got plenty of time, but man, we're,
And Sheila, if I'm wrong, correct me, sitting here that day, I know she mentioned that.
yeah,
It is, and it was
that's
part of
amazing.
what they did. I'm actually working on the actual
That's unreal.
annual ARPA plans due
Time
March
flies when you're having
31st. So I'm finishing it up, and that's one of the questions that was on there. Have you dedicated all of your funds to projects, and a reminder note on it? But
Wow.
the annual ARPA report, we had an audit for whatever reason in November, I believe it was. We passed the audit part of it, but now we're providing them the annual financial report.
I thought it was strange when the lady from the federal was sitting here, the auditor, and said, get rid of it, use it. I mean, she
Use
really
it
pushed
now, yeah.
She really pushed it, so.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And then budget hearings, Polly
yeah, we
and
did.
I and Sheila had met with our DLGF representative for some preliminary 2025 budget work. Very helpful, very
Yes,
helpful.
very.
And we realized that considering some of the timelines she shared as far as revenue projections from the state, and that we probably would be better having our initial budget workshops later in August. And we already had some suggested dates back in January when we were setting our schedule, and we didn't really finalize that. Do we want to go ahead and pick a week and get that set? Because I know that'll help Sheila get things in motion for the other dates and give us something to get on our calendars for travel and things like that.
So how late in August do we want to go with that?
How big of a month is that? Let's see. Because we want to avoid commissioner meeting those weeks because they're on a Wednesday now.
Well,
They
then we'd
meet on the
have to.
7th and the 21st. You have the last week of the month. You could do that.
Yeah, 26th, 28th. I mean, that works.
Do we have an IC conference?
No,
No, it's usually in September.
September.
So not that.
September.
Yeah, so that last week of August, yeah,
So like the 28th, 29th, and 30th?
yeah. Does that work?
Is that Wednesday?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion then that we set our initial budget workshop schedule beginning Wednesday, August 28th, Thursday 29th, and Friday the 30th if needed.
I'll second.
Motion made by,
Did you set a time, 8 o'clock?
Yeah, 8 normal times, just we're moving the week, essentially. Yeah.
so a motion was made by Anton, seconded by Andy. Any questions on that? That fit everyone? Okay.
And I think Nick Robertson will do ribeye steaks Monday for lunch.
Sounds good.
I can go down to, put down the bathroom.
Oh, there you go, right?
All right, all those in favor? Motion carries.
And so considering that, one thing I had brought up the end of last year is maybe doing something a little different and having more of a kind of a preliminary special meeting or workshop sometime maybe in May.
That would be good.
Yeah, to talk generally about structure, and we kind of touched on that with the DLGF rep, and that is looking at, we already know what the numbers are for this year and how they're shaping up, and we can kind of anticipate where revenues are kind of going to, what the trend is going to be and what our levy is, and so we can start putting together some big pieces before August.
What do we want to know settlement for?
Yeah, and settlement, we'll probably know those numbers mid-May. I mean, it won't hit our books
maybe
till
late
June,
May.
but, yeah, so mid-May or late May would probably be a good time. Just a couple of hours, nothing major. We're not having every department come in and nothing that kind of formal, but just a general discussion about the 25 budget, what we know, what we don't know, what we need. And we can give our direction to Sheila and department heads after that, because usually in June, we send those letters out. So that might be a good time to do a preliminary or a special meeting. Do we want to go ahead and set something for May?
Sure.
I think the 27th is going to be Memorial Day and that weekend, and that's the last Monday in May. So if we want to stick with a Monday, do we want to do May 20th? Is that something that would work? We'd know settlement by May 20th, wouldn't we?
All right.
That
May
works.
10th is the deadline.
You guys good with that? I think everybody's good. May 20th at 6?
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we do a special, we'll call it a budget workshop, May 20th at 6 p.m. here.
Okay, I'll second.
Motion made by Anton, seconded by Andy. Any questions on that?
I would like to say that a lot of things are always subject to whatever, but it sounds like a good vision.
All right.
I've got a comment.
Uh-huh.
We'll vote? Or is it on
Yeah,
this
go
one?
ahead. We'll vote.
All those in favor? Motion carried.
Okay, we still at council comments, and are you done?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm done.
So,
Sure.
yeah, I know, right? So, this year, I don't have Eli for spring break, and he just wrote me saying, watching the council meeting right now, I miss you and love you.
Oh, that's really cool.
So, I'm saying hi to Eli.
Good for him.
I love him very much.
Good
too.
for him. I like that.
Any other council comments? Somebody want to move to adjourn?
Except for the fact that my little grandson, the little kindergartner there, was he not amazing?
He did great.
He did great.
He did great.
He sat there, didn't say a word.
I remember like your grandma.
No, he did take after me, you're right.
And Commissioner Burton, your behavior was great.
So he's
He
learning to
knows.
sit.
You ever sit for an hour and a half, don't say nothing?
Me? Sometimes here, but not very often.
Motion to adjourn.